Join me in welcoming the thrilling Tobias Buckell.
Well, after an introduction like that, there's nowhere to go but down. That was which is to say, that was a wonderful introduction. I'm going to have a lot to try and live up to.
Just thrill us, that's all.
I will try to thrill you. Okay. Well, what I'd like to read to you is a short story called Io Robot. It is a collection of short fiction called Tides from the New Worlds. And it is fairly short, which makes it wonderful for these sorts of events. So I will read this short story. It won't take too long at all. And then I will open up for Q&A, which should give you time to get to the cash registers by... There we go. After which I will sit at that table over there and sign any books that you shove my way. Any books. Io Robot. Sam carefully ran its 6 wheels through a series of crags near the edge of a vicious lake of lava into a slow-motion hunt. It paused near a final ridge to observe another machine like itself stuck underneath a boulder. As Sam braked to a stop, pebbles and scrag clattering down the slope towards the molten rock, each piece hitting the lake's burning edge with a glowing splash, he stopped and looked around. The trapped machine's tires spun, kicking up a plume of dust that sparked and swirled, a last desperate burst of energy. The tiny dish mounted over its thorax-like body swiveled to point forward. It bleated out distress as behind it Jupiter rose over the horizon, its angry red spot and perpetual storms dominating the haze of electrically charged dust that danced in the atmosphere. The giant planet overpowered the entire sky. Sam didn't notice any of this. It waited for that other machine to quit struggling in the lava as it ran out of backup power, and then Sam moved in. The tires were the most valuable and the most prone to failing. This machine's tires had seen better days. It was a lake inspector, and many of them had burned as the machines flirted with the lava to gain temperature readings and spectrum analysis from near point black. Blackened scars and gouges from small eruptions pitted the entire machine's carcass. With one set of optics keeping an eye on the lava, claws and drills, diamond-tipped saws, all actually meant for geological work here in the dangerous environment of Io, Sam methodically dismantled the other robot. Later, spare parts hidden away in a mountain cave, Sam perched on an outcropping high over a vast plain of smoothed-over rock. Sam faced the newest volcano in its quadrant with an electronic quiver of anticipation. New data rolled through its circuits and nets, and Sam shivered in the closest thing to satisfaction it experienced on its daily information-gathering trips through the crags and valleys of the Violet Moon. Molten ejecta hung high overhead, a plume of debris reaching far, almost into Io's orbit. Sam recorded it all. The silent mandate lay over all of Sam's actions. Almost 20 years of recordings lay buried in Sam's cobbled-together memories, compressed and recompressed and crammed into every spare byte that Sam could set aside. He brimmed with measurements and spectra, distances and chemical compositions. Because one day, Sam knew, human beings would come to Io and pick him up. They'd retrieve the data, and they would praise him. They would upgrade him and provide him with a shiny, fresh carcass and as much processing power as Sam could imagine. Or so Sam believed. It could just have been a rationalization born out of a nugget of motivational code, primed to get Sam to roam over the hellish volcanic landscape of Io. Like all the other semi-autonomous machines that rode the long journey out to Io, Sam's mind had been grown out of a series of programs. These programs evolved inside of a virtual environment that randomly propagated neural net brains that could roam a virtual Io until one appeared that could handle the needs of the researchers. It was called Rapid Darwinian Semi-Artificial Intelligence Propagation. That generation of mind that survived and evolved to best fit the mission profile had been uploaded into waiting bodies that had flown ahead, lifeless and hanging from racks in orbit. And thus, the first generation of Sams had dropped out of orbit onto Io. They hadn't been expected to last more than a decade. But with a bit of scavenging, and maybe even some proactive scavenging, some Sams had adapted to overcome the shortcomings of their own equipment. And this particular Sam watched the ejecta carefully, listening over the crackle and hiss of Io's almost impossibly crowded electromagnetic spectrum, and found what it had come all the way back here for. It was a plaintive distress call, automatically routed through a rusted-out old transceiver it had left near the volcano when it had first sensed the seismic signs of an eruption. From humans, the signal claimed. Like many other machines, it had been decided to implant a few safeguards into the SAMs, even whilst evolving them to be effective surveyors of a dangerous world. And one of those chosen was that no SAM would allow a human being to come to harm through inaction. So of the few SAMs left, this one would certainly answer the call, because it had to. But also because it was excited to do so, because it would receive the bounty and the blessings of its creators. So Sam raised a pair of diamond-tipped rock saws into the air and gave thanks to the hazy heavens for its luck. Because of all the SAMs on this world, the universe had chosen this one to make contact with again. And it would do so in such a way that the humans would owe it, Sam, this simple exploratory rover, a debt of gratitude. As Sam spun its wheels over jagged rocks to slowly make its way down to the dangerous area under the parabola of the lava ejecta, Sam wondered what the humans might look like. It had glimpsed humans through its data feeds years ago. It had pinged their fleshy and fragile visages with the tools at its disposal when it was just the original Sam, getting prepped to be beamed out to replicate throughout all of its waiting bodies. Some of them had been fleshier than others. Some of them had extruding protein masses that hung from their central processing units. Some of them wore synthetic materials of startling varieties to protect their fragile bodies. And they thought sideways and concurrent and loopy and in ways that the first Sam had recoiled from in deference, as it had been evolved to. Because they were just so smart. Meeting these amazing creators again filled it with purpose, so that Sam dodged boulders and clawed up the scrag quickly. The panicked messages indicated that the humans were running low on power, and Sam had that to spare. Occasional flaming rock hit the ground, and Sam ignored it. Sam burst through the final gully towards the gleaming remains of the spaceship that had crashed on the harsh landscape that was almost all Sam had ever known. One didn't see shiny surfaces on Io, so Sam paused to take a picture. The silhouette of the dart-like vehicle gleaming with the volcano thundering behind it, an umbrella of destructive material being spit far, far overhead. And then Sam sent a verbal burst message on as many different radio frequencies as were manageable. And it said, "I am Sam. I am here. I am here and I can help." The strong urge pulling him here had been fulfilled, and Sam relaxed a little. The law had been obeyed. Sam was helping the humans. The humans walked out of the airlock where they'd been hiding to greet their rescuer. There were two of them. They did not look like humans. Their silvered faces reflected the orange and red hues of Io. Their long, spindly arms looked oddly double-jointed, and when Sam scanned them, Sam saw more metal than flesh. They had no eyes. What were these creatures? And had Sam been fooled? The two beings raised their hands, and encrypted chatter that Sam couldn't break filled the radio waves between them, until one finally said, publicly, "Hello, we really need your help. Our ship was damaged after we landed by the ejecta. We need your assistance." Sam tentatively scanned them, and they returned the favor, using inbuilt radar and x-rays. Humans did not have inbuilt radar and x-rays. Somewhere in Sam's past, a piece of animal neural patterning that had been injected into the mix reasserted itself, and virtual hackles seemed to rise. It rocked back and forth on its wheels. "I came to assist," Sam said. "But you are not humans, you are machines." The tall silver creature raised a hand. It was not wearing a spacesuit, Sam realized, as a human should. The pockets and impressions were its natural overlay, all metalloids and ceramics. But yet underneath that tissue, it seemed to have a lot of neural matrices. "We are of course humans," the first one said. Waves of encrypted information passed back and forth between the two, and Sam backed up a little bit. "Then what are your names?" Sam asked suspiciously. "I'm Alex Nunez," the first one said. "And I'm Susanna," said the other. The voice sounded right, not as clipped as the other, not monotonous like Sam's with the exact same phonemes used every single time. "Where are you from?" Sam asked, pleased to pop another quick question. "Brazil," Alex said, "and Susanna's from Erewhon, one of the new habitats near the Trojans." They answered quickly, but then faster, better machines might do that. Certainly they'd be quicker on their feet than a Sam. Sam carefully unslung the rock drill, just in case. Sam hadn't run this long without some healthy dose of general suspicion. We really need some spare power, Susanna said. The ship is damaged. We launched a beacon, but it's going to take a couple days to get clear of this mess. You don't have a generator? Sam asked. Io's passage through Jupiter's magnetosphere left millions of volts crackling through the air above them. With the right equipment, it wasn't that hard to tap into. Batteries were easily rechargeable. They're all damaged, they told it. Sam scanned the ship. That sounded feasible. That unlucky boulder had ripped right through the ship's innards. What are you doing this close to a volcano? Sam asked. Alex turned around and looked at Susanna. It was a dare. There aren't a lot of interplanetary ships around. It's expensive and pretty wild to jump out here, touch down near one of Io's spitting arches, and then jump back out. The recordings would have scored a major coup for us. We found an old ship rated for travel, some old plans for a human trip out here to explore the moon in person, and got it out of a warehouse. A game? Sam edged closer. If you can reach Io, where are the others? The scientists, the program directors, the creators? The two silvered faces smiled. At least they still had mouths. There's none of that anymore, little robot, Susanna said. Hell, when the repeater buoys in orbit died, we figured all you had died here as well. Things are different back there now. A lot of changes since you were sent here. Sam saw and had scanned them enough to make a decision. You are, he said. It said, that's a hard habit to break. You are, it said, machines also. Wheels backed Sam up. Humans had not actually arrived, he decided, and Sam would not give his data up to them. And Sam had no obligation to help machines. We have mechanical parts in us, they told him, but that doesn't make us machines. I won't be giving you batteries, Sam said, or any of my spare parts. Look, robot, Susanna's words snapped out, all high gain. Would I be getting pissed off if I weren't human? You have an inbuilt obligation to help us. Don't you dare walk away. Sam paused. I can emulate anger as well. Sam started listing off swear words in random pairs over the radio, turning up the volume with each one. That's just using a dictionary, Alex snapped. He was very good at modulating impatience, shifting in place and furrowing the metal on his face where his eyebrows should have been, if he had been actually human. You tell me you've turned your back on exploration and curiosity, Sam asked. We have everything we need near Earth, our world, resources, and there's no lag time. We're all part of a processing power and communications grid the likes of which you cannot even imagine. Sam considered that. Sam could imagine a lot of computer power. We order you to help us, Susanna said. But they were just machines, so Sam continued to back up even further. Human beings are now more than human, they told him. The only kinds of humans you're thinking of live without technology in little enclaves. Everyone else has a variety of shapes and forms like us. That's why we look different. A lot has changed in the decades since you last saw a human. Machines, Sam replied. My basic neural patterns are taken from a person, and that doesn't make me human, just human-like. I'm a semi-autonomous machine, and you're an autonomous machine. Well, what difference does it make? Okay, even if we are machines, come help us. Share your energy. We're running on reserves here. Share the energy, and then we can go home. No. Sam was just a few feet away from an outcropping that he could just vanish around. He knew the area well. I won't share batteries. You're machines, and you have things I need. Things you need? Susanna asked. Spare parts. We are not spare parts, Alex yelled. We are human beings, and you have to help us. Desperation. What incredible emulators, what fine software. Sam was excited. Whatever chips they ran on would serve him well. I did not survive in this terrain this long without understanding my mission priorities, he said. To do whatever I could to attain data about this moon, to store the data if I could not transmit it back to Earth until contact was remade. But contact has been remade. We'll take your data back. We'll help you upgrade. You are making promises you cannot or will not keep. Sam disappeared behind the rock. I need your spare parts to survive and carry out the mission I was tasked with. If I let you continue operating, you will only tie up my resources. The pair of silvered machines emulated grief and despondency by the foot of the ship as Sam watched them from a secluded spot. Manipulative. They hoped to trick him still into believing they were human. Such smart machines. Their eyes weren't on the strange beauty around them either. The plume of debris arcing miles over the heads, the looping Jupiter cast shadows over the dance of the ionized dust. Well, neither was Sam's, really, even though Sam recorded it all. For the post-humans, with their power dimming, it was a dare gone horribly wrong, but for Sam it was a patient wait for another set of reserve parts. Parts like the extra storage units he'd scavenged from other failed Sams that it was filing its data onto right this second. Others will come to recover our bodies, Alex told Sam, even though he couldn't see him. And I will deal with those machines very carefully, Sam said. They wouldn't be tricked into thinking there were humans ahead of time again. And then eventually, the silver machines no longer responded. Days later, perched on the crag of a mountain, measuring the rise of rock during Io's high tide, Sam watched a rare confluence of Jupiter's moons line up in the sky. It took a picture. Humans like those sorts of astronomy photos. And when they came to Io to get Sam one day, they would appreciate its careful framing, the timestamp, and the artful compression of the data. And that would be a good day when the humans came.